Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. You know, we're here to help you figure out this whole precious metals IRA thing. And today we're taking a deep dive into the Oxford Gold Group to see if maybe they're the right fit for you as you plan for retirement. We're basing this mostly on a really in-depth review from Gold IRA Blueprint. And if you want to follow along and really get the most out of this, we have a free checklist for you. Just go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. And you'll find this awesome checklist that's designed to help you pick the perfect gold IRA company. All right, so let's jump right in. Oxford Gold Group, they're not just any investment firm. They are laser focused on precious metals, especially gold and silver, as a way to really secure your financial future.
Yeah, it's interesting how they're not trying to be everything to everyone. They really have built this expertise in a specific niche, which can be a huge advantage when you're looking for guidance in a market that's as specialized as precious metals are.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's like going to a heart specialist instead of just a general practitioner when you have a specific heart problem, you know? And speaking of specialists, Oxford Gold Group, they have this team of seasoned professionals, including some big names like Patrick Grandfar and Jonathan Adler. These guys really know their stuff.
Yeah, those names really jumped out at me in the review too. You can tell they're not just salespeople. They're experts who can provide valuable insights into market trends and investment strategies. And it's not just about gold IRAs either. Oxford Gold Group offers a whole range of services. They do direct bullion sales to self-directed IRAs, even options to invest in platinum and palladium.
That's a really great point. It seems like they offer a lot of flexibility to tailor your portfolio to what you specifically need. Now, I know that a lot of our listeners are very familiar with traditional IRAs, but this concept of a gold IRA might be completely new for some people. Could you break down how these IRAs work and why someone might choose to do this instead of a traditional stock-based IRA?
Yeah, so a gold IRA. It functions very similarly to a traditional IRA, but instead of holding paper assets like stocks or bonds, you're holding physical gold or other approved precious metals. And this can be appealing for a couple of reasons. First, it provides diversification. Precious metals tend to perform differently than stocks do, so they can help balance out your portfolio and potentially reduce your overall risk.
So it's kind of like that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's more like, don't put all your retirement savings in one type of asset.
Exactly. And the second reason is it's a potential hedge against inflation. We've all seen how inflation can erode the purchasing power of your savings over time. Historically, precious metals, and especially gold, have tended to hold their value during times when we have a lot of inflation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Of having the safety net for your retirement savings in case the value of the dollar takes a hit.
Yeah.
Now, the review mentions that you can roll over your existing 401k or a traditional IRA into a gold IRA. What does that process look like?
Well, it's actually a lot more straightforward than you might think. Oxford Gold Group specializes in helping people do these rollovers. Essentially, you're just transferring funds from your existing retirement account into a new gold IRA account. And their team walks you through all the paperwork. Make sure you comply with all those IRS regulations. Of course, there are some things to be aware of, like potential tax implications and things like that. But those are all things that Oxford's experts can help you navigate.
So you don't have to figure it out all on your own. They hold your hand through the process. Before we go too much deeper into the specifics of what Oxford Gold Group services are, I really want to emphasize how important it is to choose a company you can trust, especially when it comes to your retirement savings. And that's where our free checklist comes in. So if you are feeling a little overwhelmed or not sure where to even begin, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive and grab your copy. It breaks down everything you need to think about when you're choosing a gold IRA provider.
Yeah, that checklist is seriously invaluable. Because let's face it, not all gold IRA companies are created equal. There's some big differences in fees, storage options, customer service, and just overall transparency.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all about finding the right partner for your long-term financial journey. Okay, so back to Oxford Gold Group. We've talked about gold IRAs.
Yeah.
But they also offer direct bullion sales. So for someone who's never even considered owning physical gold or silver, what's the appeal of that?
Well, for some people, there's a certain psychological comfort that comes from holding something tangible. It's not just looking at numbers on a screen. It's actually holding something of value in your hand. And plus, gold and silver have been recognized as stores of value for centuries.
Yeah, it's like having a little piece of history in your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
But owning physical gold also brings up the issue of storage. I can't imagine that keeping bars of gold under my mattress is the most secure option.
You're right about that. That would not be wise at all. That's why Oxford Gold Group works with some really reputable, high-security depositories that are specifically designed for storing precious metals. These facilities are insured. They have all kinds of state-of-the-art security measures to protect your investment from being stolen or damaged.
So that really takes the worry out of safeguarding your precious metals. And speaking of options, you mentioned that Oxford Gold Group offers a variety of different bullion products.
Yeah, they offer a whole range of gold and silver bullion products, including coins and bars of all different sizes, for example. They offer American Gold Eagles, which are really popular because they're beautiful and they have this historical significance.
And it's really important to note that they emphasize purity standards. You want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're getting what you pay for when it comes to precious metals.
Oh, absolutely. They stick to really strict industry standards to make sure that all of the metals they sell are authentic and pure. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about another service they offer, self-directed IRAs. These are IRAs that give you a lot more control over your investment choices, letting you branch out beyond traditional stocks and bonds.
So it's kind of like having the keys to your own retirement kingdom.
In a way, yes, you can invest in things like real estate, private businesses, and yes, precious metals, all within that tax-advantaged structure of an IRA.
That opens up a whole world of possibilities, but with more freedom comes more responsibility, right?
Absolutely. Self-directed IRAs aren't for everyone. You need to be comfortable with a higher level of involvement and be willing to do some due diligence. But for people who are comfortable with doing research and want more control over how their retirement is going to go, it can be a really empowering option.
Yeah, it sounds like Oxford Gold Group really caters to a really diverse range of investor preferences and needs. But let's go back to something you said before about how important a company's reputation is in the gold IRA space. What are some things that stand out to you about Oxford Gold Group when it comes to reputation?
One thing that really impressed me was their consistent A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They've held that rating since 2010. And that's not just some meaningless piece of paper. It shows that they're committed to ethical business practices and making sure their customers are satisfied, which is especially crucial in an industry that unfortunately attracts a lot of scammers.
That's a really good point. The precious metals market can feel a bit like the Wild West sometimes. So having that kind of reassurance from a reputable third party like that is invaluable.
Exactly. And it's not just the BBB rating either. They're also associated with organizations like the California Attorney General and the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which shows they're committed to being compliant with regulations.
So it seems like they're really going above and beyond to build that trust and transparency, which is so important when you're dealing with something as crucial as people's retirement savings. Now, even with a reputable company like Oxford Gold Group, we need to be realistic and acknowledge that there are risks associated with every investment, including precious metals. The review from Gold IRA Blueprint mentioned market volatility as a potential drawback. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure, like any investment, precious metal prices are going to fluctuate. There are tons of factors that can influence those prices, including interest rates, global events, even just general investor sentiment. So precious metals can definitely be a valuable hedge against certain risks, but it's really important to understand that their value can go up and down.
That's a crucial point. Investing in precious metals is not going to make you rich overnight. It's a long-term strategy that requires patience and an understanding of how markets work. You need to be okay with the idea that the value of your investment could go up or down in the short term.
Exactly. It's about the long game, not trying to make a quick buck. Another potential risk to keep in mind is that your investment options are limited. While Oxford Gold Group does offer a variety of precious metal products, they mainly focus on just that asset class. So if you're looking to invest in a wider range of things, like stocks or real estate, you might want to consider a different provider.
So it's all about finding what fits best with your overall investment strategy. If precious metals are going to be a core part of your retirement portfolio, then Oxford Gold Group could be a great option. But if you're looking for a company that can do it all, they might not be the best choice.
Precisely. You need to understand your own goals, your risk tolerance, and find a company that matches up with those. That's why doing your research is so important. Don't just jump into any investment without carefully thinking about all the factors involved.
And that's where our free checklist comes in. If you're feeling a bit lost in all of the Gold IRA options out there, go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive and download a copy. It'll help you figure out the right questions to ask and things to consider when you're choosing a gold IRA company.
Yeah, it's seriously a fantastic resource. They can save you a lot of time and hassle in your search for the perfect gold IRA provider.
Absolutely. Now, even with a reputable company like Oxford Gold Group, it's important to acknowledge that there's always a potential for fraud, no matter what industry you're in. And the precious metals market is no exception. There are always people out there who are trying to take advantage of people who don't know any better. What are some red flags that people should keep an eye out for?
Well, a big one is high-pressure sales tactics. If someone is pushing you to make a decision really quickly without giving you time to do your own research or figure out the risks, that's a big red flag. Legitimate companies are going to encourage you to take your time, ask questions, and make an informed decision.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. And be wary of anyone who promises you guaranteed returns. There's no such thing as a guarantee when it comes to investments, especially precious metals. Prices go up and down, and no one can predict the future perfectly.
That's a crucial point. If someone's promising you they can make you a millionaire, it's always best to be a little skeptical. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the practical side of things. What does it actually look like to get started with Oxford Gold Group?
Well, the first step is to just reach out to them. You can call them or go to their website. They have a whole team of people ready to answer your questions and help you.
I imagine it's pretty easy to set up an account.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They'll walk you through the paperwork, which is basically just giving them some basic information, your name, address, social security number. They'll also need to verify your identity, which is standard for any financial institution. It's all to protect you and your investment.
For standard stuff, once your account is set up, then what?
Well, that's when things start to get interesting. You'll work with someone from their team to figure out what your investment goals are and how much risk you're willing to take on. They'll help you understand the different types of precious metals that are out there, what the market is doing right now, and the potential ups and downs of each investment option.
So it sounds like they take a personalized approach. It's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Exactly. They want to make sure that you're making informed choices. That makes sense for your own personal situation and financial goals. Once you've decided on your investment strategy, your specialist will walk you through how to make the purchase. They'll handle all the little details, like the pricing, payment, and whether you want your metals delivered to you or stored for you.
That sounds pretty seamless.
That's the idea. They really try to make the process as easy and stress-free as they can for everyone. And it doesn't end there. They also provide ongoing support and guidance to help you manage your investment as time goes on.
So they don't just leave you hanging once you've invested. You have this team of experts there to help you along the way. What kind of ongoing support can investors expect?
Well, they provide regular updates on market trends, performance reports, and you always have access to their team of experts if you have any questions or concerns. They're really committed to being your partner throughout your gold IRA journey.
That level of support can be incredibly valuable, especially in a market like precious metals. Before we move on to some final thoughts on Oxford Gold Group, I want to talk for a second about diversification.
That's a really important point. Diversification means spreading your risk across different types of assets, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Precious metals can be a really important part of a diversified portfolio.
Oh, for sure. They provide a different type of protection than traditional stocks and bonds do.
Exactly. They can help protect you against inflation, market volatility, and geopolitical uncertainty. It's all about finding the right balance for your overall investment strategy.
And that balance is going to look different for everyone, depending on your personal circumstances, how much risk you're comfortable with, and your financial goals. Now, as we wrap up our conversation about Oxford Gold Group, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. It really seems like investing in a gold IRA isn't just about numbers. It's about having that peace of mind, knowing that some of your savings are in something real, something that has held its value for hundreds of years. That can be really powerful.
It definitely can, especially as people start thinking about retirement. That feeling of security becomes even more important. People work hard their whole lives, and they want to be able to enjoy themselves when they retire. And a gold IRA can be a part of that.
You know, it's really fascinating to think about the history of gold. For centuries, it's been seen as a safe haven, something that people turn to when things are uncertain. Wars, economic crises, political upheaval. Gold seems to be able to withstand anything.
It really does. It may not always go up in value, but it tends to hold its purchasing power over very long periods of time. Think about it. You could buy a nice toga with an ounce of gold in Roman times, and you could probably still buy a decent suit with an ounce of gold today.
That's such a great way to put it in perspective. So
Yeah.
even if the stock market crashes or inflation gets out of control, you still have something to fall back on.
Exactly. And that can give you a lot of comfort, especially in today's world where there's so much uncertainty.
We've covered a lot today, from the basics of gold IRAs to the advantages of working with Oxford Gold Group. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize something we talked about before. A gold IRA can be a great part of a retirement portfolio, but it's not some magic solution. It's important to do your research. Consider your own needs and how much risk you're willing to take, and choose a company that you can trust.
I completely agree. And that's where resources like Gold IRA Blueprint can be really helpful. They've already done a lot of the work for you, providing detailed reviews, educational articles, and they even have that helpful checklist we talked about earlier.
And speaking of that checklist, for anyone listening who wants a little help figuring out how to choose the right Gold IRA company, go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive and download a copy for free. It's full of great tips and questions to ask potential providers.
It's a great way to help you cut through all the clutter and make a smart decision.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Oxford Gold Group. I hope you found this information helpful as you plan for your retirement.
And remember, if you have any more questions, or if you want to explore other Gold IRA providers, the Gold IRA Blueprint website is a great resource.
Thanks for listening to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Until next time, happy investing.
Oh yeah, it's a lot like that. You can invest in things like real estate, private businesses, and even precious metals, all within an IRA.
Wow, it really opens up a whole world of possibilities. But of course, with more freedom comes more responsibility, right?
That's for sure. Self-directed IRAs aren't a good fit for everyone. You really have to be comfortable with being more hands-on and doing your research. But for those who are willing to put in the time and effort and really want to take control of their retirement, they can be a great option.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like Oxford Gold Group really caters to a wide variety of investors. But let's get back to something you mentioned earlier about the importance of a company's reputation when you're talking about gold IRAs.
Yeah.
What are some things that stand out to you about Oxford Gold Group in that regard?
Well, one thing that really stuck with me was their A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they've had that rating since 2010. That's a pretty big deal. It really shows their commitment to ethical business practices and customer satisfaction, which is crucial in this industry, especially since there are, unfortunately, a lot of scammers out there.
I see what you mean. The precious metals market can definitely be a little risky, so having that kind of reassurance from a well-known organization like that is really valuable.
Absolutely. And it's not just the BBB rating either. They're also associated with the California Attorney General and the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission. That shows they're really serious about complying with regulations.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really going above and beyond to earn people's trust, which is so important when you're talking about people's retirement savings. But even with a company like Oxford Gold Group that has such a good reputation, we do need to remember that every investment has risks, and precious metals are no different. The Gold IRA Blueprint Review talked about market volatility as a potential risk. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Of course, precious metal prices are going to go up and down, just like any other investment. Interest rates, global events, even just how investors are feeling. All of these things can have an impact on precious metal prices. Precious metals can definitely help protect you from certain risks, but it's important to remember that their value can change.
Right. Investing in precious metals isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a long-term strategy. And you need to be patient. You have to be comfortable with the fact that your investment might lose value in the short term.
That's right. It's about the long game, not trying to make a fast profit. Another potential risk is that your investment choices are more limited. Oxford Gold Group offers a variety of precious metals, but that's really their main focus. So if you want to invest in a broader range of assets, like stocks or real estate, for example, then you might need to look for a different provider.
So basically, it all comes down to making sure you're choosing the right investments for your own personal strategy. If precious metals are going to be a big part of your retirement portfolio, then Oxford Gold Group could be a really good choice.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for one company to handle all your investments, they might not be the best fit.
Exactly. It's about knowing what your goals are, how much risk you're willing to take, and then finding a company that aligns with all of that. That's why it's so important to do your research. Don't just jump into anything without really thinking it through.
And this is where our free checklist can really help. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all the gold IRA options out there, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive and get your copy. It'll help you figure out what questions to ask and what factors to consider when you're choosing a gold IRA company.
Yeah, it's a fantastic resource. It can really make the whole process a lot easier.
Definitely.
No.
We do have to talk about the elephant in the room. Even with a reputable company like Oxford Gold Group, we can't forget that there are always scammers out there, no matter what industry you're in. The precious metals market is no exception. There are always people trying to take advantage of others. What are some warning signs that people should look out for?
One of the biggest red flags is high-pressure sales tactics. If someone is trying to get you to make a decision right away, without giving you time to do your research or understand the risks, that's a really bad sign. A legitimate company will always encourage you to take your time. Ask as many questions as you need to, and make an informed decision.
It's like they say, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. And be careful of anyone who guarantees you'll make a certain return on your investment. No one can guarantee that, especially with precious metals. Prices go up and down all the time, and no one can predict the future.
Yeah, that's a really important point. If someone is promising you the moon, it's best to be skeptical. So, let's talk about the more practical side of things. What does it actually look like to get started with Oxford Gold Group?
The first step is to contact them. You can give them a call or go to their website. They have a whole team of specialists ready to answer any questions you have and guide you through the process.
I'm guessing setting up an account is pretty straightforward.
Oh, yeah, it is. They'll walk you through all the paperwork,
Yeah.
which is basically just providing some basic information like your name,
Yeah.
your address, and your social security number. They also have to verify your identity, which is totally normal for any financial institution. It's all designed to keep your information safe and protect your investment.
Pretty standard stuff. So once you've set up your account, what's next?
Well, that's when the fun begins. You'll get to work with a specialist who will help you figure out your investment goals and how much risk you're comfortable with. They'll explain the different types of precious metals that are available and what's going on in the market, and the potential risks and rewards associated with each investment.
So they really work with you one-on-one. It's not just a cookie-cutter approach.
Exactly. They want to make sure you're making informed decisions that make sense for your specific situation and your goals. Once you've figured out your investment strategy, your specialist will help you through the whole process of buying your metals. They handle everything, from the pricing to the payment to arranging delivery or storage of your metals.
So it seems like a pretty smooth process from start to finish.
That's definitely the goal. They really try to make it as easy as possible for their clients, and it doesn't stop there. They also offer ongoing support and guidance to help you manage your investment.
That's great. So you're not just left to figure it all out on your own. You have a whole team of experts there to help you. What kind of ongoing support can investors expect to get?
They send regular updates about market trends, performance reports, and you can always contact their team if you have any questions or concerns. They're committed to being there for you every step of the way.
That kind of support can be really valuable, especially in a market like precious metals that can be a little unpredictable. Now, before we move on to some final thoughts about Oxford Gold Group, I want to touch on one more important topic: diversification.
Absolutely. Diversification is essential. It means spreading your risk across different types of assets, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And precious metals can play a really important role in a diversified portfolio.
I agree. They offer a different kind of protection than traditional investments like stocks and bonds.
Exactly. They can help protect you from things like inflation, market volatility, and even geopolitical uncertainty. It's all about finding the right mix of investments for your overall strategy.
Right. And that's going to be different for everyone, depending on their individual circumstances, their risk tolerance, and their financial goals. So, as we start to wrap up our deep dive into Oxford Gold Group, I want to leave our listeners with this final thought. When you think about it, investing in a gold IRA, it's not just about the numbers, is it? It's about having that peace of mind. You know you've got a chunk of your savings in something real, something that held its value for centuries.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, especially as people get closer to retirement. That sense of security is so important. They've worked hard their entire lives, and they want to enjoy their retirement. A gold IRA can be a part of that plan.
It's interesting when you think about the history of gold. It's always been seen as a safe haven, something people turn to when things are uncertain, like during wars, economic crises, political upheaval. It's like gold can handle anything.
It really can. It might not always increase in value, but it tends to hold its purchasing power over time. I mean, you could buy a nice toga with an ounce of gold back in Roman times, and you could probably still buy a decent suit with an ounce of gold today.
Wow. That's a great way to think about it. So even if the stock market crashes or inflation goes crazy,
Yeah,
You've got something to fall back on.
exactly. It gives you options. And that can be really comforting, especially in today's world where there's just so much uncertainty.
We've talked about a lot today, from the basics of gold IRAs to the benefits of working with a company like Oxford Gold Group. As we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone, while a gold IRA can be a great addition to your retirement portfolio, it's not a magic solution. It's important to do your research. Consider your individual needs. Think about how much risk you're comfortable with. And most importantly, choose a company you can trust.
I completely agree. That's where resources like the Gold IRA Blueprint website can be really helpful. They've done a lot of the research for you. They've got reviews, articles, and even that checklist we talked about.
Right. And speaking of that checklist, if you're feeling a bit lost trying to choose the right gold IRA company, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive and download your free copy. It's packed with helpful tips and questions to ask potential providers.
It can really help you make the right decision for your situation.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Oxford Gold Group. Hopefully this information has been helpful as you think about planning for your retirement.
And remember, if you have any other questions or want to check out some other Gold IRA companies, the Gold IRA Blueprint website is a great resource.
That's right. Thanks for joining us today on the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. We'll see you next time. And until then, happy